Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, sci fi movies were pretty amazing to the audience goer. Up on the screen, you saw a fantastical series of events unveil themselves in front of you on the screen. All of a sudden, people are traveling into space, fighting aliens, and doing all kinds of crazy things that were once only found in the minds of people's imaginations. A lot of that came down to special effects. Rocket ships being flown across the screen to represent the space travelers as they actually went across the galaxy. You would see monsters emerging from the murkiness of the depths of the waters, coming to fight and attack the human species, actual aliens. Now, if we look at those special effects today, they look silly. You can literally see the strings pulling along those little rocket ships. You can see the men who are dressed up in these costumes to act as these monsters as they stomp across miniature cities. The point is, at that time, the special effects worked amazingly. And some of the greatest stories, such as Godzilla, still exist and still are represented today because of those movies and their special effects. But they age out and they don't necessarily look great today. Well, the same thing has happened with CGI. Do you remember those first CGI movies? How amazing they looked? And all of a sudden, you could see these digitally created effects. But a couple of years went by and the special effects got a little bit better. And you'd look at the older movies and go, those are kind of silly. In fact, you can even look at somewhat modern movies and look back and go, hey, that movie's only 10, maybe 15 years old, and it's not so great looking. You might have been wowed by The Matrix when those bullets were coming across the screen and creating that ripple effect. Nowadays, you would look at it and go, it kind of doesn't look that believable anymore. Well, I think we've reached sort of the pinnacle of special effects. And the problem that we face now is our superhero movies have become overly reliant on special effects. And they're bad special effects. This really struck me when I was looking at the new Aquaman trailer. And the problem is, all I could see were characters standing in the middle of a stage with nothing around them. What I mean by that is when special effects first come out, sometimes they're what I refer to as fantastical. You see them, you're like, wow, this is amazing. But then a year or two goes by and that fantasticalness wears off. Because now all these Marvel movies, for instance, that have come out, they're just a lot of blue light special effects. And after a while, your eye just kind of stops ignoring the phantasm of the special effects themselves, and you just see the people moving around. Like, Aquaman is literally fighting nothing. That Thor Love and Thunder movie, a lot of times Thor is fighting nothing. When that occurs, it actually looks even worse than the old movies from the 1940s and 1950s. Because at least back then, those special effects, they were interacting with something physical. But now a lot of it is just, it's silly. You see, special effects should do one of two things. They should either be mind-blowing, fantastical images that draw you into this world that is an escape from reality, or two, they should be something that is somewhat believable but enhances the movie itself. So, for example, if we watch The Dark Knight, there's a lot of CGI in that movie, but you don't think of it that way because it's not really noticeable, because they're using practical effects and they're using CGI to enhance those practical effects. At the same time, the opposite is with Avatar. That is simply a visual spectrum of special effects that overwhelm the eye and draw you into this world. A lot of video games are like that. Now, the problem is those special effects, yes, they're amazing, but if they don't continuously improve, they just look horrible. I really think, as I ponder over this, that may be the real reason why a lot of these superhero movies are failing. When you looked at that Blue Beetle trailer, what you saw was a lot of blue lit special effects. When you looked at the Marvel trailer, you saw a lot of blue lit special effects. What I mean by blue lit special effects is like, for whatever reason, there'll be like rays or something in the background, and it's all this like bright glowing blue stuff that I think people think looks good on like a computer screen, but in the movie theater, it just looks so fake, and it just, again, just looks like people are standing in the middle of nothing with a bunch of fake stuff going around them. So the effect is not serving its purpose. We do have the ability to have better special effects. We know this. We've all seen Dune. Well, not all of us, but the people who have seen Dune have seen how those special effects work. In addition, we've all seen superheroes in movies or in TV shows where they do fantastical things, they have superpowers, and yet it doesn't look like a digital cartoon with people just play acting against nothing. If you've seen the Amazon series, The Boys, guess what? It's a bunch of superheroes. They use CGI, they use special effects, but yet they do it in a way where you can actually believe what's going on. There are people interacting with each other. There's a physical presence. There's a weight to what's going on the screen. And I think what it comes down to is when there's a physical presence, whether it's a really bad monster that's really a man dressed up in a Godzilla suit, or if it's something that's standing in front of a person, the actor actually interacts with them. They have real emotions. They can actually know when to feel afraid, when to actually act terrified, or act like they have to be brave in the moment. When you have a movie like The Eternals, did you notice that in the Eternals, it just seemed like nobody was really having any real strong emotions? It's like, oh, here's this gigantic CGI monster that's coming towards them. But people were just like, oh, I'm just going to stand and kind of make an expression here and go through the motions. But it wasn't believable. And I'm sure that those actors know how to act. It's just, there's nothing for them to respond to, nothing to work off of. It was probably just a bunch of guys saying, okay, now there's a big monster in front of you and it's shooting, act afraid. Or, hey, see this stick? Yeah, that's a giant creature that you're going to react to. And only the very talented actors, only the best thespians in the world can pull that off properly. I can think of like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, where apparently he was acting against nothing as a bear attacks him on screen, but it looks realistic. Now, when you look at like the Marvels, for example, I'm just using it because it's the latest relevant movie. I did not see the Marvels. I don't plan to see the Marvels, but I have seen the trailer a couple of times. And it's very apparent that it just looks very cheap. And it's because we've gotten used to the special effects. We've gotten used to that type of CGI. You rewind the clock back a couple of years. Let's say we go back 10 years, and you put the Marvels up there, you would look at those special effects and go, wow, that's pretty cool. Maybe I should go see this movie just to see them zipping across the galaxy and fighting these epic battles where they use these superpowers. But today it just looks lame. Like Cartman says, they put a chick in it and they made it lame and gay. But I do think there's hope for the future, because I do think they are realizing that it's not just a video game. I mean, I hope they are. It's quite possible that they just keep continuously producing these really over CGI'd, overproduced pieces of film that just look fake. I mean, it's possible because, I mean, Look at look at the Aquaman trailer. If you really look at it, there's so much CGI in it, but just look at the people, look at the characters, and once you see this, and I think this is the problem, once you see this, you can't unsee it. You just see the actors in an empty room. And you just imagine them like Jason Momoa is just in there like yelling at nobody, like screaming to the sky with and there's nobody else there. He's fighting and dodging like just fake things. It looks like a schizophrenic reacting to something. So am I wrong? Are you guys still impressed by the special effects that are being produced by Marvel and DC movies? Or do you also feel that it looks really, really bad? And when you see a new trailer comes out and it's all just CGI in the background, you just kind of go, it's not, there's something about it that's just not visually appealing. All right, let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for listening.